so long as AD can come back this year at some point, let's say a month from now, as you said yesterday, this can be very good. This will be very good for LeBron James and the Lakers. Because, Stephen A., every season, remember Game 1 against the Clippers last year? Remember those early season struggles in Miami and then later Cleveland? Every year, LeBron James, who's in the finals every season, has to figure out how to lead a group of guys to the promised land. And early in the season, he needs to figure out what everyone can do, how he can bring them along, how he can build them up, who he can rely on, how he can build up the guys he can't rely on and put them in positions. It's like a coach on the floor where he will be able to rely on them and they'll come through. With Anthony Davis, that really masks a lot of things. If you have LeBron and AD, that will mask a lot of things on any team. What's going to happen now is Kuzma and others had to step up yesterday, is guys on the team, role players, will be given responsibility that they simply wouldn't have if AD's in the lineup. And not just 1 or 2 games, Stephen A., but for many games while AD is resting and recovering. And that will build the team up so that when AD comes back, they are more equipped to deal with the playoffs than they would have been otherwise. I think this will turn out to be a good thing for the Lakers, provided AD comes back.
Well, I get the provider, I get the caveat there. I would tell you, I don't think this is going to be a good thing at all. I think the Lakers right now, I think their championship aspirations are compromised. Let me be very, very clear. There is no way in hell the Los Angeles Lakers are winning the championship without Anthony Davis. And I'm talking about Anthony Davis at 100%. I think that Ty Lue is doing an exceptional job with the Los Angeles Clippers, and it's to be commended for it. I think Quinn Snyder and those boys in Utah have been sensational. We can't ignore them. I think the Denver Nuggets, they tend to come on strong as the season progresses, and I'm certainly not going to rule out Dame Dollar and the Portland Trail Blazers. Without Anthony Davis, the Lakers are going home early. They'll make the playoffs, but they're going home. They're not going to the championship, okay? Let me put that out there first. Secondly, and more importantly, here's why it's a bad thing, because LeBron is 36 and he's not getting any younger. And the reality of the situation is that he's going to be out there on the court trying to carry a load and having to carry a heavier load than he had anticipated. Now, is he equipped to deal with it for a season? Sure. But who knows what kind of toll that's ultimately going to take on him and his body moving forward. Because if I'm the Los Angeles Lakers, Max Kellerman, I'll leave Anthony Davis out at least a month. Here's where I get scared. I'm hearing the same language that was used when Kevin Durant got injured. When we talk about the calf strain. I'm hearing the same language. It sounds eerily similar. And so for me, when I listen to that and I hear that, I know Anthony Davis hears it. And so, all right, how all out are you going to go when you're absolutely positively petrified you might tear your Achilles? Because if he tears his Achilles, he's out for next season. He's out for next season. Not just this year. He's out for next season as well, with LeBron being 37 years of age. So to me, if there's any way that I can do this, if you were to tell me, Max, if Anthony Davis sits out for the rest of the season, he'll be fine moving forward. I would sit Anthony Davis out for the rest of the year. Seriously. Just to make sure he's ready for the last 2 years of LeBron James' career. That's how I view it. I don't know whether it's going to be 2 years, 3 years, 1 year. But I'm saying I would just sit up there. I wouldn't take any chances with Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis is tied to LeBron. And listen, LeBron's interests are not necessarily aligned with the Lakers. Lakers are long-term because they want Anthony Davis here for years to come, long after LeBron is gone. In the case of LeBron, you're 36 years old. It's your 18th year in the league. You ain't taking anything for granted. You're trying to win now. So it's not necessarily aligned, his interest with that of the Lakers, even though they both align when it comes to Anthony Davis. If I'm the Lakers, it's not even, I already got that chip. I'm already back to relevancy. I'm the reigning champion. I don't even play Anthony Davis. I might not play him for the rest of the year. Maybe.
But they're saying 2 to 3 weeks. And let's say if he's gone for the season, of course, the Lakers are finished. They're not going to win a championship without AD in this roster, right? But let's say it's 2 to 3 weeks, but instead of that, they double it. It's 4 to 6 weeks, just to be careful.
Which I think they should. Double.
And he comes back okay. Then you have guys on this roster like Taylor Horton Tucker. Remember what he was doing in the preseason? You have guys like Caruso who've played beyond where people thought they could play, KCP, et cetera, et cetera. The point is, if LeBron is able to build those guys up and find dimensions in their game that they're not normally called upon to put forth, and gets that group of guys going, when AD comes back, it will be more likely, not less, that the Lakers repeat.
Okay. Charlie, we're going to end this segment this way. Max, allow me to end the segment this way. If Anthony Davis is any less than 85%, there is no way in hell the Lakers are winning the championship. I promise you that.
No.
Now, you can debate whether they come out of the West or not, and I don't think they'll do that. But they damn sure ain't beating the Brooklyn Nets, who I believe is going to the finals. They ain't beating Brooklyn with that offensive firepower unless Anthony Davis is at least 85%. LeBron's and everybody else is at 100%. There is no way in hell.
Might not get by the Clippers, the Jazz, or the Nuggets.
Let me be very clear about that. Let me be very clear. I'm looking towards the future. Because, I mean, he deserves a technical foul for that, personally. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I just want to throw that out there. He makes a lot of money. He can dress better than he dresses. Having said all of that, he's a hell of a player. He goes after it. I got a lot of respect for Montrezl Harrell, and he's absolutely right on this as well. It's gotten to the point where it's just too damn ridiculous. Let me tell the NBA something. I love the NBA. I've been associated with the NBA for a quarter century. I love this league. I care about it. And one of the biggest reasons that I care about it is that they've almost never failed to give the fans what we want to see. And they haven't robbed us of things that we haven't wanted to see. And this has gotten a bit excessive. When you are getting technical fouls for screaming and one, when you two are just jobbing at one another, and that's all, but ain't no fists being thrown or anything like that. I totally understand the notion. You don't wait for something bad to happen to sort of cut it off at the path. But these guys, give them credit for being the responsible individuals that they are, while also being highly competitive. If they want to talk junk to one another, let them talk junk to one another. When Damian Lillard hits a game-winning shot and waves goodbye to Russell Westbrook and Paul George when they were in Oklahoma City, what are you going to do, stop the game and call him to the line and give him a technical foul because he waved goodbye to them? What are we doing here? The fact of the matter is that Devin Booker's on the floor the other night. The Phoenix Suns haven't been relevant in years. Monty Williams is doing a hell of a job. They're 15-3 in their last 18 games. They're the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. They're going up against the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James. And their star gets ejected for what? For what? You got Donovan Mitchell last night in Philadelphia. You know, you making calls all over the place that they got question marks about. You're going to throw him out of the game in overtime? You're literally going to impact the game by throwing out the star in overtime. That's no regard for the fans. Let's just call it what it is. That's no regard for the fans. And yes, they're not in attendance right now because of COVID-19, but they're watching the games at home. It was important for you to make sure you had at least a 70-game season, as Max Kellerman has pointed out on several occasions, so you could make sure you get your local dollars, your local television revenue. That means you want people to watch in their locales, in their specific local locations. That's what you wanted to do. If you're the Phoenix Suns, if you're the Phoenix market, yes, you ended up winning the game. But that ain't the point. What if you had lost? Why would you sit up there and throw Devin Booker out over something so innocuous? It's gotten to a point now where the officials, and I speak to officials, I know a few of them, and I do understand that some players go overboard, that players are not totally innocent here. Some of the things that they say to these guys, particularly with the money that they're getting paid these days, they don't give a damn about the fines. It doesn't affect them. They think they can say anything they want to officials from time to time. I get it. I understand it. But at the end of the day, you ain't the game. You're a part of the game. The players are the primary commodities in the game. And if you're a fan and you're watching, we want to see them play. We want to see them play. We don't want them getting ejected because you as the official had an attitude. We don't want them getting ejected because you a bit salty after you woke up on this side of the bed today. We don't want to see them getting ejected and don't comprehend as to why that is because they whispered something in your face or whatever the case may be. We're watching to see them play. And you are taking that away from us with the excessive amount of officiating, the foul called, the technical fouls handed out. You are robbing the fan when you do that. It needs to stop. They need to get thicker skin. That's what officiating is all about. Thicker skin. If you could tolerate it years and years and years ago when you were building the game, over the previous 2 to 3 decades, you should be able to tolerate it now. What's up with all of this softest putty nonsense that we're dealing with where you can't take a damn thing and the fans get robbed of seeing the great players we want to see? It has to stop. Find a way to keep them on the court so we can watch them play. That's what we want.
I co-sign that general sentiment. Everyone's too thin-skinned. I co-sign that general sentiment. And NBA officials are throwing players out of game for stuff that does not rise to that level, in my opinion, although you don't know exactly what they said most of the time. But let's take this on a case-by-case basis. Devin Booker got thrown out the other day. That seemed very quick to me, and ticky-tack. Donovan Mitchell got thrown out, and Donovan Mitchell is known as a high-character guy. But even high-character guys have bad nights. And he had played well, and his team was winning, and then down the stretch in the fourth quarter, he got locked up, made a lot of bad decisions on offense, and it cost his team, and they wound up going into overtime and losing. He gets thrown out of the game, but he's consistently, it's not like it's just one incident. He's being demonstrative. I understand that a little bit more. Montrezl Harrell was a reputation throwout. That's all that was. I mean, it is absurd to throw a player out for saying and one, or to tee him up for saying and one. Sorry. That's absurd. Are we joking here? But Montrezl Harrell has a rep because he's an instigator and he's a dude who plays, a little psychological warfare on the court. That goes for opponents, that goes for officials, so his reputation preceded him, and he got a quick one. But it's not an excuse. You can't, to tee a guy up for saying and one is a mockery of what an official is supposed to do. But Montrezl Harrell, that's the price you pay for being that kind of an antagonist on the court. So I'd say Devin Booker, no good.